Hi guys, it's Chelsea, your Sunday nerd, and this week's theme for our video was horrible and awful, and I'm never watching another one again. It was horror movies, and I never watch horror movies. I really don't. They really just actually freak me out, and I don't. A lot of people like being scared. I don't like that feeling. It's not a good feeling for me. So I like never ever watch them. I've seen like three, maybe four now since I had to watch this one. But yeah, horror movies. This was just like the worst thing possible for me this week. Um, so I watched The Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe, and because I thought for some reason this movie would be okay, maybe because I was fooled by Harry Potter, but no, it was still scary. I did watch it at night, um, but I watched it with like the lights full on, and I'm not gonna lie, I watched a lot of this movie on mute because I just couldn't take the music and the factor. So basically, just to give you a little plot, The Woman in Black is about this man Arthur Kipps, who's played by Daniel Radcliffe. His wife died, and so he's been, I guess, just really depressed, and I guess he's not been like having the greatest work ethic because he's been so depressed, but he has to, provide for his son, and so the firm kind of gives him a one last chance thing. So he has to go and settle this will, like, because they know there's more documents at this house for this woman. So he has to go to this town and go through the documents just to make sure that everything, in the will is right. So he goes to this town, and it's like in like a really small town, sort of like on the outside, in like the middle of nowhere, and he's met with like a really cold welcome, and like no one. Oh, and even before you meet Daniel Radcliffe, the opening scene in this movie, you see these three little girls like playing tea, and then all of a sudden you see them like look over at something, and then they just like stop and they like waltz towards these like three windows, and they open them, and then they jump out the window and commit suicide, and that's the opening scene of the movie. So anyway, when Daniel Radcliffe gets to this town, he goes to this inn, and the inn guy originally like won't let him in, but it's like pouring rain, so he so the wife lets him stay in the attic, and it was the same room that those three little girls are in, and then you see pictures of them with the little girls, so I just kind of assumed that those were their children. So you know that something is, not right. If the creepy music didn't, settle it. So the next day, he goes to see the lawyer, who the firm's been working with, but he just sort of hands him these documents and says, "These are the documents. Just go to London." And he has this carriage. But Arthur, he knew that there was more documents at the house that he had to go through because the firm specifically told him that there were mountains of paperwork at the house. So he gets in the carriage, and he has them drive them to this house. And this house is located like on the other side of a marsh. So like you can only get there during certain times of the day because at other times the road is flooded, which is creepy. And of course, it's like an old abandoned house, and no one's been living there for a couple of years, so everything's overgrown, and the house is creepy. And so he starts to, go through the house and try and find stuff. And then you first see the woman in black, and she has the creepiest face ever. I hated it. This is where I watched most of the movie in mute because there's not a lot of talking whenever he's at the house. There's not a lot of dialogue, so I felt safe muting it because I was just gonna miss like the scary, jumpy, "oh, here's the woman in black behind him," and blah 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 parts. So he starts to go through the documents, and then he keeps getting distracted because he hears all these noise and these creepy ass toys that keep turning on, and yeah. And so then he gets freaked out, and I don't think he really gets much done. And so then he leaves, or he hears this one really loud noise, like a carriage crash or something outside. So he runs out into the marsh to find it, and you sort of see like these like glimpses of stuff. Like you find like I figure it's what happened to the family, because this family they had a son. This family who had died and left this house and everything. Um, they had a son who died when he was 8 years old because he drowned in the marsh, and they never found his body. So I figure it's like how their son died. He like there was a carriage crash and he somehow got in the marsh and drowned. Um, so he kind of hears it, and so he's looking for him, and then all of a sudden the person who drove him came to pick him up, and he leaves, and then he goes to the constable because he thinks he heard a carriage crash, and um, he tells the constable that he saw a woman in black at the house. The constable kind of freaks out, and then these little kids come in. There's two little boys holding up their little sister, and they said she drank lye, which I guess is not good. Because the little girl just sort of looks at him, and then she coughs up blood and collapses in Daniel Radcliffe's arms and then dies. So then Daniel Radcliffe, it kind of freaks him out. And then he goes to this guy he met on the train to the town, and he's like sort of the only one that's been somewhat welcoming. And you find out that that guy had a son who died in a drowning accident too. So there's been a lot of just like children dying, like in ways that it's almost like they're like committing suicide. Like they jump out a window, they drink lye, or um they hang themselves or something, like just really weird. And so you kind of figure that that's the woman in black. Like that's what she does. She makes kids commit suicide. Um, so after talking with him and his wife, who does has these weird fits and says that she's being possessed by her son, and she like takes a knife and like starts carving it into the table like weirdly, and so they have to like sedate her and stuff. So he goes and he talks to them, and then he talks to her husband about it, and he says that she feels like she's being possessed by the spirit of her son, and the guy doesn't really believe in all that superstition stuff. So then Daniel, or Arthur Kip, played by Daniel Radcliffe, goes to the table and sees what she carved out, and it's like a little picture of a person hanging themselves. And so he goes back to the house because he needs to find out what happened, and he starts going through the documents, and it's creepy again. Um, and he basically finds these letters and these notes and stuff, and he essentially finds out that the woman and husband who owned the house, the woman had a sister, and the sister had a son. And basically, the woman who owned the house had her sister declared unfit to be a mother, and took her son away and made him and like raised him as her own, and then like locked her sister away in this room because I guess people thought she was crazy. And so the sister like cursed the town and everything because she for taking because she wanted her son, and it was he was taken from her. And then she writes her sister these letters that get increasingly more and more violent and disturbing. And then like the last letter is after she finds out that her son died, and she like just tells her sister to rot in hell. So then you kind of figure out like that's the woman in black story, and that's why she's so vengeful. And then the movie gets so scary. This was like the worst part, even in mute. The toys start going off, so he goes upstairs, and then you start seeing flashes of the woman in black, and then he looks out the window and he sees a little boy like rise out of the marsh, and he's like all mud covered, and he walks towards the house, and so for whatever reason he goes to the door to open it to see. And then all the ghosts, then you see like all the children who've committed suicide. Like you even see the little girl who drank lye, she has the blood down her face and on her clothes. And then he closes the door, and there's like muddy footprints from the little boy who drowned in the marsh. And he goes up into this room with this creepy ass rocking chair, and the rocking chair is just going back and forth. And all of a sudden the woman in black, you see her like you see how she died because she committed suicide. She jumped off that chair and hung herself, and you see it. And then he freaks out, so he drops the candle and he goes to light it. And as soon as the candle comes on, the little boy covered in mud like screams in his face, and oh, it was just bad. I need to be less detailed with the summary, so I'm just giving like summarized from here. So basically, he goes and he talks to this lawyer guy again because he shows up like right at the end of all this, and I was just like, oh my god, it's over. And so basically, what they decide is that they need to somehow end this curse, and so they think the way to end it is by finding the little boy's body and like taking it to the woman in black. So because she was really upset that they didn't even like find his body and give him a proper burial. So they find the body in the marsh. I think because he saw where the guy rose, he was able to like guess where the body would be. And then they summon the woman in black, and just by like putting on all the toys, so they kind of Arthur kind of summons her and shows her the body, and she seems pleased, so she like disappears, and then Arthur puts the body of the boy into the grave with his mother. And so, if you think the curse is gone, it's over, everything's good. And then on the train, he goes to the train station because his son has come to see him. So he goes to see his son, and you think everything's good, and he's talking to the nanny. And then all of a sudden you look, and the little boy is on the train tracks, like playing, and there's like a train coming. And so Arthur kind of realizes that the curse can never be lifted. So he jumps on the train with his son, and then they die. And then you see them like walk away with their mother, and it ends with like the most god awful screech from the woman in black. So that's what the movie is. It terrified me, and I hated every single second of it. It was like ugh, ugh, ugh. And I watched most of it in mute because I just couldn't take it. My heart was like ugh, ugh, ugh. I don't like this. I don't like feeling scared. So yeah, that was the woman in black, and I hated every single moment of it. Um, so I hope you enjoyed my summary of The Woman in Black, which I give it 2 thumbs down. But that's just because I don't like scary movies. If you like scary movies, it's got plenty of like jumpy, creepy moments, and I don't know. I do like that this one kind of had plot. I feel like a lot of scary movies are just like, watch me hack this person to death. So yeah. Um. All right. So hope you liked it. Tune in tomorrow to see Sam and the new theme of the week. And love you, lovies. Bye. I'm gonna get you, Josh.